There's a train coming. Can you hear the train with my headphones?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're going to hold.
Stretch break.
I'll second that.
Train means stretch break.
I think that should always be the rule. I like the idea of train means stretch break.
Anytime we have to hold, it's a stretch break.
I like that idea.
Because we won't realize our body hurts.
I'm going to be like on the train platform waiting for a train to like go into the city or something. And I'm going to hear a train and I'm just going to go, yep, that's the stuff. It's the rule.
Hi, guys. Welcome back to Discovering Divergency. I'm Crystal, your ADHD host.
I'm Amanda. I'm one of your other autistic hosts.
And I'm Sydney, another one of your autistic co-hosts.
And today we are going to be discussing the topic of burnout and accommodations that we've made for ourselves throughout this process. But before we dive into today's topic, I wanted to see if you guys had any sticky thoughts from either last week or the last couple weeks. Amanda, welcome back. We missed you.
Thank you. I guess to start, I kind of told Sydney a little bit about this before the beginning of the podcast, but the reason I was out last week was I was taking my license exam and I passed.
Yeah, I didn't want to ask.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, she'll tell us. But
yeah.
I'm so happy for
Thank you. Thank you. So pending when the licensing board processes everything, fingers crossed there's no problems, I will officially be a clinical psychologist once they approve everything. So that's very exciting.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Is this so this is like it, right?
This is like it, yeah. As long as
Because I feel like
again,
every day it's like, oh, no, I have another one.
yeah. Knock on wood, I passed my state exam. I passed my national exam. It's literally just waiting for the licensing board now to be like, okay, we have all your hours, we have all your documents, everything regarding like fingerprints and all that stuff's approved. And pending all of that, I will be completely done. So I'm just really just now in the waiting period of waiting for the board to say, yep, we have everything, there's no problems. Still not on wood, a little scared that something will go awry, but yeah, all my exams are passed, which is the major thing, so that's really exciting.
I was gonna say, if anything goes awry, it's like clerical stuff, which is a headache, but
yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's awesome.
Thank
How
you.
revealed? No, relieved do you feel?
Extremely.
How revealed are you?
How revealed? No, but I'm incredibly relieved. It's an exhausting process, and it's been a very long road, and it's like bizarre now. Like I was telling my partner the other day that I'm like, I don't know what to do now. Like usually it's like either I'm studying or I'm feeling guilty for not studying, and now I'm like, oh, I don't have anything to do. I don't know what to do with my time.
Yeah, that's a really weird transition to like your quote unquote hobby. Not that it was a hobby, but like whatever you did with your spare time was studying or stressing about studying.
Right.
So that's really exciting though.
So that's my big news of why I wasn't here last week was I was studying and passing my license exam, which is torture, but done. What sticky thoughts do you guys have?
And you're going to ask me this, and I didn't think of anything.
That's fine.
That's okay.
I'm totally googoned. I got nothing.
Googoned.
Nothing has stuck. I think for me...
No, I was just... Sorry. That was just impulse control there. That I was realizing that Cindy was saying googoned because of stuck. Anyway, go ahead.
Delayed reaction.
Yes. Delayed process.
I'm having a little bit of a hard time with words today, so I'm hoping it comes out. But I was thinking a little bit more about masking and unmasking, and I think I was thinking about it in terms of myself and how I think I was trying to say, like, I don't know if from the outsider's perspective I look much different in certain cases, because I don't think maybe I was like actually masking a lot of things as well as I was, but the big difference between unmasking and masking for me is like the feeling I have going into it. And like externally I wonder if it looks much different, but internally I'm not scared or stressed or thinking about those things. And that was just kind of something that stuck with me of like, oh yeah, It's the feeling, my like internal feeling.
Well, I don't have a sticky thought, but I did, in fact, start a new hobby this weekend,
Ooh.
which I feel like you guys will like, is watercolors. I'll start with the sunset that I painted.
Oh, I
Literally
love it.
just a gradient, and I like it so much.
It's beautiful.
And then I painted a lot of random things just to like practice, but this was the one I wanted to show you specifically, Crystal.
Oh,
I made it up.
Gnome.
That's awesome.
It's awesome.
Thank you. But anyway, that's what I did.
Actually, that's a great segue because I feel like when one of the times I was really in the midst of burnout, I turned to watercolors as a like active mindfulness like activity. I had like seen again a TikTok about it and it was like just focus on making lines and that's it. And like all you do is just make lines. So like I would just have pages and pages of just lines.
Yeah, I feel like that's where I'm headed. I don't feel like I need to paint anything. My problem with painting, or not really my problem, but my thing with painting has always been I like the idea of painting. I like the feeling of painting, but I'm not like, I don't know what to paint. And then when I do know what to paint, I don't feel like it comes out how I want it to. And then I'm like mad at myself about it.
Yeah.
So I was literally drawing circles yesterday and letting the water like blend the two. And like, it was so calming.
I think that's kind of how I started too. And like the best part of watercolors is because it is very fluid. And like the more you add, the different it is. Like if you can separate yourself from like, I'm trying to make something that looks like something and just like, I'm just doing, it's really a soothing activity. So burnout. I want to like, I guess real quickly kind of talk a little bit about what our understandings of burnout is.
The first thing that comes to mind is like it's different than like regular job burnout. Like we kind of talked about this a little bit with one of our previous episodes that like I feel like with neurotypical / maybe like a job burnout, it's something that is easily relieved. Like you have a vacation or you have something that you do a little bit of quote unquote self-care and you're able to regain your functioning and regain your abilities. But I feel like with autistic burnout, it's longer termed, and I feel like it's more affecting wider ranges of your life and wider functionality. So it may be something too that takes a long time to recover from.
Yeah, so I spent a couple hours researching burnout because I got really into it 2 weeks ago when I read a book and then, I don't know. But anyway, so as Amanda pointed to, the typical like thought of burnout is like occupational burnout. And that's kind of where a lot of the studies have been. And so the three like components of occupational burnout is typically emotional exhaustion, depersonalization, and then reduced work performance. And this would be due to prolonged exposure to work-related problems like being micromanaged or overworked, blah, 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 blah. When we talk about autistic or neurodiverse burnout, it's not just from work that's causing this, right? Part of it is maybe from work, but it is your life performance, just like your existence in the universe that does not accommodate us can lead to autistic burnout. And Dr. Megan Anna Neff, who I'll talk about a little bit later, defines it at I think there's research, but I'm not remembering, but I got it from Dr. Megan Anna Neff. And for autistic burnout is chronic exhaustion, reduced tolerance to stimuli, and a loss of skills like executive functioning, verbal abilities, self-care, daily tasks, and the things that you used to be able to do become more inaccessible. The other one that she added in was withdrawal. So like pulling inwards, retreating. And that's kind of the burnout that we're going to be talking about today and our experience with that and how we're trying to accommodate it. Amanda made a good point too, that like it's also typically like long term. So you're feeling these types of things for 3 or more months, like not something that's happening for a week and then you're okay.
Which I feel like that's so important to mention, because like I'm curious, wait, both of your perceptions of burnout or like autistic burnout has been, but like I know prior to myself and prior to like going through it, like I didn't understand how long term it could be. It makes me think about the definition of chronic pain. Some of the definition, if I recall correctly, is that time span, is that it has to also be something that lasts for a couple months. And I think that's really interesting, because I think the way that we typically conceptualize things like burnout or even pain is like, oh, like you'll get better after some rest. And I think that mindset is applied to both our mental functioning as well as like chronic pain and stuff. So I'm curious for you guys, like, especially with that migraine episode and likely talking a little bit about pain and chronic pain, like, does any of that kind of resonate with you guys?
I love that you just made that correlation connection, because I haven't. And I've done a lot of research into chronic pain because I have it and I have a special interest in stuff like that. I'm an occupational therapist. I used to work with a geriatric population who typically, a lot of them are suffering from some type of chronic pain. And the best way I always explained it to them, right, would be acute versus chronic. Acute meaning something that's short term. If we're attacking and trying to fix something that's acute, we're going to go to the problem. Like you said, if there's a broken bone, we're going to cast it. After that 3 months, that acute pain is no longer the reason you're having pain. Your brain has now learned that that is its normal state. And so your brain is creating that pain because it's in parts, right? There's a lot, this is a simplified version of like, but your brain now is like, okay, this has been around so long that this is my homeostasis. This is normal. I'm going to keep going with this because our brain is really great at learning things, including things that hurt us. And I think that's a really awesome analogy for me to like link it of, there's acute burnout that we probably experience often, where like even acute autistic burnout of like, I went to a fair and I didn't drink enough water and I was around a lot of people, and now like I'm going to spend tomorrow asleep and in my bed and blah, blah, blah. And the next day I'll probably be okay. Versus that once it's become chronic, our nervous system has like adapted to, this is my life and this is who I am, and I'm like shutting down or running away or whatever. So I think that was a really awesome analogy.
In my head, and again, I'm not speaking for these chronic pain experiences, especially the migraine experiences, but I think it's adapting to both. It's learning to reduce the flare-ups. It's learning to accommodate your life. It's learning to take care of yourself, and these things might still happen in the future. And I think that's the difference between something acute and fixable versus something more chronic or long-term. Because I think with the autistic burnout, as well as these other kind of things we're talking about, it requires taking a step back from your life and saying, okay, like, how can I handle this going forward? Because if I keep moving at the pace I was, I'm going to keep having these flare-ups of either a pain or an autistic kind of burnout situation.
Something that I struggle with a lot related to burnout is how I can label it, like labeling it as burnout, because I'm still kind of not used, since my diagnosis, not used to saying definitively, I can identify that I am in autistic burnout. I'm not good at that. I usually just say, I'm tired, I have a migraine, I have a headache, which all those things are true, but that's not what's actually happening. I'm trying to be able to say I am in burnout as opposed to just saying I'm tired, because that's what I've been saying my whole life. But I still have so much difficulty defining when that point is. So I was wondering if you guys could tell me from your own experiences and your fancy clinical backgrounds, how does one really, I know everyone's different, but generally speaking, for you guys, so for example, how does one know that they're in burnout versus they're tired or just need a nap?
I think the biggest sign, at least from my body, for burnout is just like this undefeated exhaustion that I can't alleviate no matter what. It doesn't matter if I reduce my caseload. It doesn't matter if I'm sitting at home doing nothing for days. But I wonder for you, Crystal, like how would you kind of say that like the signs of that are there, like and what how would someone kind of define that burnout for themselves?
I feel that exhaustion as well. And that it's not going away, right? Like you've been feeling like this for however long, and it's just kind of escalating. I don't know. I feel like I've been in burnout and just ebbing and flowing, where like there's been points of my burnout that I'm functioning a little bit better, like right now, but I don't think I'm fully healed out of being burnt out. So in thinking back, like June 2024 is when I really I think apexed. And it was extremely frustrating for me because I knew I had been burning out like ever since I started my career in 2019. Like I knew I was burning out. I tried changing my job. I was like, I can't be fully clinical. That's too much for me. I need to move into a job that's partially clinical and partially like more office admin type things. So I did that and it was still too much. Like I was so exhausted. I needed to sleep all of the time. I had I did have a social life because I didn't want to give those things up. So like I pushed myself too much and my migraines got worse. And then I was like, okay, I know I need to like reduce my caseload. I'm going to kind of like try to go out on my own. So I spent months like interviewing with different companies and trying to set that up. And then June was when I finally like took that launch and I got so sick. Like I was throwing up every single morning. I ended up with COVID too. So I was like down for the count. My migraines got so much worse and I was trying to like take time. Like I wasn't going to work. I was like, if I have a migraine, I'm not going to work because that's why I'm doing this. Like I'm trying to fix this. And then I felt so much like shame and like I would just didn't know what I was like. I'm broke. Like I'm broken because this is what was supposed to fix me. Like I'm not working. I'm trying to do everything I can and it's getting worse. And I was like, this is my life. Like this is it. Everything just got so much harder. And now I'm thinking about that, and that's 2 years ago. And I'm at a much different place in my life, but I don't know. I also I had to change jobs again. I had to move cities. And I don't think I'm fully out of burnout because I can like feel myself getting closer at points, but I know the signs and I like stop more often than not. So I don't get to that full, like everything's too hard for me, but I still feel like things are not 100% yet. So like I still feel like I am still recovering from that burnout. Maybe if I'm not in active burnout, I'm still recovering from that time. I don't know if that answered that question at all.
It does. Because like I think it's maybe because I think so literally about everything and I'm visual. And I think about for example, I don't know if you know what this looks like, but like an editing timeline where it's like clip 1, clip 2, clip 3. If clip 1 and 3 are like the baseline, clip 2 is the burnout. I don't know how to define when we get to clip 2.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's a really random example.
Hard.
But
no,
I'm so bad. And then when it ends, I don't know how to know when it ends.
I think that's the thing is like it's very personal. It's really amorphous. I think it's also something that we're not educated on. Like I barely think we're educated on typical neurotypical job burnout, let alone like autistic burnout.
For sure.
And I think it's also something that is not normally so delineated. Like you were saying of like if you're looking at a visual timeline, which I've had some editing experience, so I do know what you're kind of talking about. Like there is this, it's clear. Like this is clip 1, this is clip 2, this is clip 3. Yeah. It's very clear where one thing ends and another begins. And I think with autistic burnout, there's not usually that clear delineation. Crystal was kind of mentioning of like switching jobs, moving, all these different things. And especially with those circumstances, it can be really hard to be like, am I burned out, or is just moving really hard in general? Or am I burned out, or is changing a job just really hard in general? And I think it's really hard to pull apart those pieces. For me, it's feeling like, it sounds terrible, but feeling like a shell of myself versus feeling like myself. And I think when I was really burned out, it's that I'm going through the motions. It's that nothing is bringing me pleasure anymore. Nothing is bringing me joy. And it's kind of similar to a depression, but different in this way of like, nothing feels good. Nothing feels satisfying. I'm so exhausted. Everything's so hard. I'm not able to do the things that I was able to do before. I'm not able to operate in my life in the way that I would like to. And again, it's just like feeling of it's not ending, it's not changing. And then even when you remove the stressors, it's still that feeling, because normally, at least for me, it would feel like, oh, if I change my job, I'll feel better. Or if I do X, Y, Z thing, and I'll feel better. And sometimes when you do that, you do feel better. And sometimes you don't. And I think, again, it's this like feeling of no matter what I do, I still feel like crap. And I think for me, personally, that was my burnout of like, I'm doing everything possible. I am in therapy. I've quit my job. I'm doing minimal tasks at home. I have minimal demands on my life. And I still feel like so weighed down. I still feel like I'm not enjoying things. I'm still having meltdowns frequently. I'm still having these things that I can't alleviate. And it only after months of being unemployed, months after therapy, months after exploration of my autism, did I finally get to a point that I was able to say I'm not burnt out anymore. But also, too, like, that doesn't apply to everyone, because most people don't have that luxury. Like, most of us have to work and don't have the luxury, and it's not a luxury, I struggle to find a job, but to have the luxury of being, like, unemployed and really focusing on your well-being. For most of us, we have to push through that burnout and have to work because we have to make money and we have to afford our living and afford different circumstances. And I think, unfortunately, like, regular burnout as well as autistic burnout is built into our society and built into these expectations of you're not allowed to rest. You're not allowed to care for yourself. You're not allowed to prioritize ourselves. And I think that's why for a lot of folks, there is this very, very long-term, very chronic burnout, because we don't all have the luxury to be like, hey, I'm not going to work for a couple of months to be able to fix my life.
I feel like also, so you mentioned removing the stressor, but removing the stressor doesn't always remove the stress. And I think that that's something I learned about throughout my burnout research. You deal with the stress of like having to go to work or whatever, send an email, go to a wedding. So the stressor is done, right? That thing that was stressing you is done. But the physiological stress that's in your body may not have been taken care of. Right. So you have to deal with the stress as well. I'm like in my own head wondering about myself, because it is really hard, Sydney, to like, I'm like, am I out of burnout? I don't feel completely burnt out, but I do feel like I'm still recovering from the that was put on my nervous system for so long. So like, I don't feel like I'm out of the clear, but then part of me is like, do I just not want to accept that this is my new normal?
That's a real problem too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I go back and forth, because I'm like, I do see things getting better and going differently every day and every month. Like I had gotten to a point where like grocery stores were just way too overwhelming. Like I could not go into a grocery store. And this is one of my biggest things, especially when I'm in like a higher rate of stress, of like thinking that's my new norm and I'm never going to be able to do anything else. Like, okay, now I can't go to grocery stores. They are too much for me. Like I'm never going to be able to go to a grocery store again. And that's how it felt at the time. Now I can go to the grocery store. It's still like, it's way different. Like it'll still put different stress on me, but it doesn't feel like it used to. And I had thought like, anytime I reach a new, like, oh, this is a struggle, I'm like, whoop, this is a struggle forever now.
I think that really hit the nail on the head for me of like this feeling of this will be forever and I can't escape it. When I was at the peak of my burnout, like I was not well. I really felt like this is it. There is no escape from the way that I am being right now, and no way that things will get better. And I think that's a lot of what can be the feeling as well, is like this won't improve. And it can, and hopefully for a lot of folks listening and for ourselves it does, but it's really, really hard.
It's so hard because I feel like the only way that we truly improve it and don't get to that point is like you have to redefine every part of your life and try to create like that's why I wanted to like start this podcast with you guys, because like I know at least, or maybe I'm doing that again, I don't know, but I'm like I can't function the way that they're telling me I am supposed to. Like I cannot imagine working 40 hours a week and not feel sick.
I mean, I work 40 hours a week and I feel like I'm sick a lot. I mean, not like I have a cold sick, but I do give myself stress colds, but like migraine sick and mentally sick, probably physically sick too.
Yeah.
So I work like at a desk. I work like your typical 9 to 5, like I'm on the computer writing emails and being in meetings all day kind of job, which is good and bad for me, but it definitely has caused burnout. I was wondering if you guys could tell me and our audience, what are some telltale signs of burnout? Because I don't actually know. I just kind of guess, and I don't even know if I'm defining it properly.
I think that feeling of tiredness that just never goes away. Like no matter, you can sleep 15 hours and you're just still feeling tired. I think it's a lot of like the skill regression stuff that we were talking about too.
Yeah. I also feel like it's the loss of things that you previously found enjoyable and relieving no longer satisfies that. Like, again, that's why I like almost put it in a similar but different category to a depressive experience, because and it's not the same, like I'm not equating them one to one, but I feel like a lot of people can understand, or at least hypothetically, what depression looks like. So I feel like that's a good example in my head. But like it's this feeling of like I used to enjoy hanging out with my friends and now I'm dreading the idea of hanging out with my friends. Or I enjoy cooking but I dread it because it's exhausting and overwhelming and difficult. Like it's that idea of like the things that used to provide relief don't. And I think I've seen that before online of people talking about like the difference between like an autistic burnout and like other things is like that stuff that you enjoy can no longer provide any kind of it barely touches the surface of that burnout. It barely provides relief. And I think that's like a big sign of the burnout, is like these things that if you know for yourself, like playing a game or hanging out with friends typically helps you feel better, it doesn't do that anymore.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, I haven't played Sims for a while for other reasons, but like, you guys know I'm a Sims fanatic. But before I kind of made a conscious decision to like kind of step away for a whole host of other reasons, I would know I don't know if I'd say I knew I was burnt out. I knew that there was something wrong. When I would sit down to play, I would be like, I'm having a bad day. I don't feel good. I'm going to play Sims. That cheers me up. And I would sit down and just like stare into my screen and see nothing and just want to turn it off and go to sleep. And then I would feel guilty that I wanted to do that. And I was like, I don't understand. Do I like not love this game anymore? Am I broken? Like, what's wrong with me? But I guess that is a really good way to tell.
Yeah, it definitely is. And I think that brings up too that like it can also be about your special interests. Like if you have a special interest that normally brings a lot of pleasure and joy, and normally when you're functioning okay, you want to pursue it. But if you're in burnout, you might not get any joy from that. You might not get any pleasure from that. And I think that's kind of like adjacent to that.
And I imagine that there's a lot of people who are not diagnosed that just end up getting treated for depression.
Oh, yeah.
Often because those symptoms get overlap. Sydney's raising her hand. Yeah, I think that I was first treated for depression and anxiety and was more likely autistic burnout. So I think knowing the term burnout is important, and definitely seek outside help, because you want to tease out if it is depression, if it is anxiety, if it is burnout, like figuring out which it is. Amanda, I'm wondering, like, what kind of accommodations would you say that you started that have helped alleviate some of these symptoms?
I think at first was, I don't know, just giving myself permission to do nothing. Like, I think that's particularly hard for me. Like, even, I don't know, even this past weekend, like, I finished my license exam and my partner was like, you should do nothing the next couple of days. And I was like, no, I should do something. I should, like, put away a laundry or do something. And he was like, no, like, you need to do nothing. I come up with really weird metaphors, but this is how my brain works and everything. It's like, it sounds terrible and gross, but just stay with me. Like, it makes me think about, like, an infection that, like, you have to, like, get rid of all the gross stuff first before you can heal the infection. Like, they have to remove the infection. You can't just, like, throw a bunch of meds at something that, again, it's gross. I'm sorry, trigger warning for people. But, like, if you have an oozing infection, like, they have to remove the fluid. They have to remove the parts that are not doing well before they can patch it up, before you can do better. And I feel like that was the process I had to go through with my burnout. That, like, the first, like, little bit of time that I was, like, had quit my job and had time to recover from my burnout, like, pretty much all I did was, like, sit around and cry. And, like, that sounds miserable, but that's what I needed initially, because I also had to come to terms with being autistic. I had to come to terms with that fear that I had, especially, like, Crystal kind of mentioned some stuff that, like, I just felt like it was going to be like this forever. Like, I just had this, like, moment of, like, am I built out to being in this career? Am I built out to being able to work? Like, am I just going to be non-functional for the rest of my life? Am I going to be able to do things? Because, again, like, at the beginning of my burnout, it was like, I can't do anything. And really, honestly, for the first couple of months, it was just struggling with that, of just being, like, going through the motions of, like, I feel broken. I feel like I can't figure this out. I feel like I can't feel better. Why am I struggling so hard? And crying a lot and coping with that. And then I think eventually moving past removing the really toxic, wounded parts was moving into a new space where I am allowing myself accommodations and also removing the expectations of myself. Because I think, too, something we haven't talked a lot about is a lot of burnout, at least in my experience, and I think some of the wide ideas about burnout, is from masking for too long, is from trying to maintain this expectation that you can't maintain. So for myself, it was a lot of deconstructing that, of, like, I may never be the person that's cooking every single day or cleaning every single day. And I think it was accepting that and accommodating that. And eventually, the real signs that my burnout was relieving was being able to do things, and it just didn't feel as hard. Like, being able to decide to cook dinner and then wash the dishes after. And I was, like, able to do it without a thought. And that was something that months prior, like, I am sobbing and having a huge meltdown about. I'm learning, too, my signs of when something's wrong. Like, it's not pushing past when something is wrong. Like, if I'm having a day where I'm feeling overwhelmed or overstimulated, it's being able to be like, okay, I have to give myself rest, because if I don't, I'm going to put myself in burnout again. So I know that was, like, a lot of things, but hopefully that, like, makes sense.
Yeah, no, I think what I'm picking up are two things from that is, like, radical self-acceptance.
Oh, yeah.
Like, accepting yourself as you are in this moment and embracing that, and reminding yourself that you will still change. Because I think it sounds like we've all fell into that trap of, like, this is it. But accepting, that's been a big thing for me, like, accepting that this is how I'm feeling right now and just trying to stay in the present, because I go 15 steps ahead, and, like, I have a really supportive partner, but I didn't know how to, like, when I'm in an active meltdown, I can't coach you on what to do for me. Like, I just can't do. Like, I don't know what to do. I know how to help another person that's in a meltdown. Like, I do that professionally, but like, I can't be me for me at that time. So like, when I was in a chiller spot, I like tried to really think of like, okay, what's going to help me, and how can I, when I'm calm right now, like tell somebody else. And that was one thing, like bring me back to the present. Like I will think 10 steps ahead, right? Like if I'm having trouble doing the dishes, I'm going to think, okay, well, I'm having trouble doing the dishes now. I'm never going to be able to do the dishes. Yep. The dishes are going to get moldy, and the apartment's going to smell. And then if I want to eat, I don't have anything to eat it off of. And then my partner doesn't have anything to eat it off. Like I need to bring it back like right into that moment. And that's something I've been working on. The other thing I think for me that was important was redefining what rest is.
Oh, 100%.
Because there's different types of rest. And I don't think neurodivergent people rest the same way as neurotypical people, especially like having ADHD. Like it's really hard for me it's not restful for me to sit and like do nothing. It's not. But that's like what they tell you to do, right? Like take pressures, take demands off of you. So I would try to rest like that a lot. And then I would be still be so tired. I remember this actively in my burnout. Like I was like, I slept 12 hours and I'm laying in bed and I'm like trying to just chill, and nothing is chill about this. So I went outside and I went on a swing and I put music on, and all of a sudden I was awake. And I was like, I'm not tired anymore. I was like, oh, I guess that's not what this feeling is. That's another thing. Like I had a very limited like vocabulary for feelings or like relation to, so I'm like, oh, this is tired. This is how you treat tired with sleep. But sometimes tired is understimulated. And I guess it's not tired then, right? But sometimes that feeling is not being physically tired, but you're understimulated. And like going outside, moving my body, and like I think I put an ice cap on. I think I made a TikTok about it, and I was like, oh my God, the cure. Sydney, what have been some accommodations that you have made for yourself?
I don't know. I feel like I'm still figuring it out. I would say the thing I'm doing the most right now is just acceptance. What am I doing to accommodate myself other than radical self-acceptance? I don't know. I'm not sure. And I unfortunately don't think I have an answer.
Go ahead, Crystal,
I think you're maybe overthinking it too much. Because you
me overthink.
I'll tell you how Sydney's accommodating herself.
Go ahead, Crystal.
She wears loop earplugs often in loud settings, right? That's not something that you did before your autism diagnosis.
That's true. I didn't think of that as a burnout, a preventative burnout measure. That is entirely true.
When her friend, one of her best friends, is in a band, and she used to go like to the whole entire concert, and now she just goes and sees his set and then leaves. That's an accommodation.
That's true. I didn't think of these. I didn't think
right.
Of these
no,
things
but
as
those are the types of things
right.
that are accommodating yourself and being true to yourself.
Right.
Like, I think we talked about last week when you move desks with your coworker so that the sun's not on your eyes. Like those are those little changes add up.
Right. And I think it is sometimes just small. Like I think for me, like yes, I talked about a bunch of things, but my biggest accommodation is just being myself. Like, and we'll get into this on another episode, but I have a lot of challenges with food. And I think my biggest accommodation is just being honest about those challenges with my partner. When previously I was sitting there at dinner being like, something's wrong. I can't say what's wrong. I can't alleviate what's wrong, but the thing is wrong. And now I'm just honest about it. And yes, I still struggle with it. And that's again, a discussion for another episode.
I can't wait to do a food episode.
But I feel like that's been one of my biggest accommodations. And just, again, that radical acceptance I think is a huge part of it. And I think that's a huge part of just being able to navigate being autistic and make your life different. It's just being radically accepting towards who you are. Like, if things are too loud, it's okay to remove yourself from a situation or wear loops to deal with it. If something is too bright, it's okay even just to ask your friends to dim the light or figure out different ways of accommodating yourself with that. Like, and whatever myriad of sensory or other kind of challenges you face, I think being accepting of them and trying to share them with the people that you love in your life and that love you is, I think, the biggest thing that helps with that burnout and helps with accommodating yourself.
Snaps. Agree.
I'm trying to think a little bit more about some of like the executive functioning ways that maybe we've accommodated ourselves. I don't know if those have been struggles for you guys. Executive functioning meaning things like working memory, sequencing, initiating, like those higher frontal lobe tasks that can start to be really hard with burnout.
I think that might still be a little technical, Crystal. I think some of the other
I know,
ways...
I'm trying to...
Yeah. I think the other ways I would break down executive functioning is planning, is timing, is...
Planning, timing, organizing.
Yeah, there you go. Like
that's the way.
Those are the things that are executive functioning. It's being able to like show up to things on time, is being able to plan things, is being able to even like organize things. And like when I say organizing, it's not necessarily like this thing goes in this place. It's like just being able to understand your day, understand how things go, like organizing a little bit of your life is the best way I can kind of explain some of those things. Like that's what can be really challenging with some of those things. Some of the things that can be helpful with those kind of accommodations or just helping our functioning can be, if you're able to, have people write things down. Like that can be a really helpful accommodation at times. Or it can be having your friends like put things in a calendar and having a calendar invite so that you know that this event is happening. Those things can be really helpful. I think for myself, like one of the things in my evaluation that was really important was having, and I haven't really addressed it with my job because I haven't needed to yet, but like making sure I had delineated note-taking time versus seeing clients. Like that is in my evaluation that like I really struggle with that transition, and I do better with my functioning when like things are in these like separate blocks. I'm wondering for Crystal or Sydney, like what are the things that you feel like is really hard with those kind of things?
I feel like I struggle a lot.
Is really hard for me.
It's so hard.
Sorry. It's hard, Amanda.
I'm sorry.
Make it stop.
So I don't think my executive functioning issues will ever like fully go away because I do have ADHD. Yeah. They just were a lot worse at times. Some of the ways I've accommodated myself is just to like, if I see something that I'm constantly like forgetting, I'll have an extra. Like I remember like I kept forgetting to put deodorant on. I just always forgot to put deodorant on. So I just put one in my car so that when I forgot to put deodorant on, there was one in my car and I could put it on. I would forget to take my lunch all the time to work. So I had like a list on the fridge of like the things to check off. I did that for a couple weeks, not consistently, but that helped. I find that like sometimes initiating like visual checklists are really good for like remembering things, but they lose their novelty. You need that interest to keep you going. Like I just like change it up. I used to get really frustrated that I would like start a routine and not be able to keep it going. And then I would feel like really like ashamed of myself because like everybody else can just do a routine and, you know, you do it for 21 days and it sticks forever. And that is just not the case for me. And now I just kind of like look at it as an opportunity to start a new one. I'm like, oh, okay, which one am I going to try this time? And like, maybe I'll cycle back to that. I think that has really helped.
I thought of something.
Yes.
I have an emergency kit in my purse that when I go from my work bag to my purse to once in a while I have a nice purse, whatever. I moved my emergency kit with my wallet and my chapstick and whatever, which chapstick is another thing I can't live without. Like, absolutely not. But in my emergency kit, I have things that I would like a Band-Aid and like extra contact lenses. Like those are things that like if I was out in the world and I didn't have one of those things, like if my contact fell out in the middle of the city, I wouldn't be able to see. I wouldn't be able to drive home. So I like have extra contacts. Also keep my earplugs in there. I have a small fidget. It's one of those touch strips with like texture. I also keep floss in there amongst like, feminine hygiene products and tissues and whatever. And it's just like a little pouch. I remember I went somewhere and I forgot to transfer it into my purse that I was using for the day. And I like had a complete meltdown. Like, I was like, what if my contact falls out? What if it's too loud? Like those two things were the same for me. And so I guess I accommodate myself by I made myself a little, I call it an emergency kit. You could call it like a first aid or like a backup kit or whatever. And then I keep it small because my purse isn't that big. But like, that's something that I do.
I do that as well. And I've called it my autism bag.
Yes.
Like I didn't start
Your
doing
toolkit.
it.
Yeah.
I didn't
Ooh,
start
what
doing
about
that.
a Tism tote?
Ooh, I like it.
I love that. Tism tote. But yeah, I didn't start doing that till post-diagnosis, but like it really is helpful because I think there's a lot of shame. Like I got earplugs pre-diagnosis and was so apprehensive to use them and felt so guilty. And like I've gotten better at just being like, all right, I just need these sometimes and that's okay. But again, I think that's like part of adapting to all this, part of like preventing burnout is like, yeah, technically, can I go about the world without using my earplugs? Yeah, but like I might eventually have issues because I'm trying to push myself too hard. The other accommodation that came to mind that I think has been helpful for me and might be helpful for some of our listeners is me and my partner like order groceries a lot. Like if you have them deliver it, it's a different price. But if you have your local grocery store, depending on what you have, a lot of times they'll shop for you and you can just go there and park your car and pick up the groceries. And that's been lovely. That's a big one for executive functioning as well as like sensory is like not having to go into the grocery store, not having to remember the list, not having to like figure out anything is lovely. And then especially like has been helpful of like we try to just buy things that are for the meals that we planned.
On the meals thing, like glass containers have been a big thing for me because like I don't know. I feel like my object permanence is gone. Like if out of sight, out of mind, like if I don't see it, it doesn't exist. Like I wish my refrigerator honestly was clear. Like I wish the door was clear. I don't put things where they're supposed to go in the fridge. Like I had seen this years ago of like
I think I know exactly what you're talking about.
Produce drawers. Like
Yeah.
Like no, produce cannot be hidden away because I won't see that. Like cheese can be in a drawer because I will hunt for it. Like if it's a thing that I like, it can be away because I will go look for it. But if it's a thing that needs to be done or like needs to be consumed, like spinach, like it needs to be out in the open. Like my toothbrush needs to be out in the open. Like it can't be away. But let's say, what's another beauty I don't really like beauty
Amanda,
products.
did you just raise your hand?
Yes, because I had a thought.
Yes. Yes, Amanda?
Yes, Amanda.
Well, I remember you saying that like reminded me of a different accommodation. It's unrelated to burnout, but a huge accommodation for me is I found out they have like lightly like mild flavored whatchamacallit, like mouthwash. And I had no idea that was a thing. And I never ever used mouthwash because I hated the intensity of the mint flavor. So finding out that there was a mild version and that it like doesn't really taste like things. And then now I think they have like an extra mild version was like life-changing for me because like I never used mouthwash because it just was a nightmare for me. And I think also like just those kind of things are stuff that I feel like becomes very helpful of just like finding the products that work best for you.
Oh, and where you do things.
Yeah.
Like I often don't brush my teeth in the bathroom. I don't really like brushing my teeth. I have a hard time standing there doing it. So like, but I'll sit and watch TV and brush my teeth for like 5 minutes. Like
I go for a walk.
Don't do that.
I walk around. I pace.
For some reason, I thought you were like going
still.
outside. realize it's like probably in your house, but in my head, I'm like,
she's at the gym.
Yeah, it's just going around the neighborhood brushing her teeth.
I
Like,
just go
whatever.
for a walk. I say hi to the
Whatever
lovely
works.
neighbors. You know,
Sure.
Those sound like little things, but they help. Like, I don't know. For me, I used to have like, okay, you have to do your work at the desk. Or like, well, no, I can sit on the floor and do my work. Or like, I can sit on the balcony and do my work. Like, that's okay. Or like, you eat at the kitchen table. Like, if eating is hard today, like, I'm going to eat on the couch with TV on. Like, do what you got to do to get things done and like not shame yourself for those. I think that's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm also thinking that all of these things sound so small because even I'm hearing you say these things and I'm like, does this even relate to burnout? But they do because they pile up. And if your routine is, if your routine is that quotes that you eat dinner at the table, like you said, but that's not working for you. If you sit on the sofa one time and watch TV and it works for you and then you never do it again, you're going to get burned out. It's going to contribute to your burnout.
Yeah.
So all of these little things add up. So they do relate to burnout, but a lot of it is, it's not always one thing that causes burnout. It's usually a combination of a lot of things over time, right?
Right. Several things come to mind. Like one, like, because you were saying like that we're eating, like the other accommodation that comes to my mind and depends on people's functioning is like meal prepping has been a great accommodation for myself. Like, because then I don't have to think about what I'm eating and I don't have to actually cook it the day of. Like I just eat whatever lunch I prep for myself and it removes a lot of thoughts and a lot of things. But the other thing that kind of comes to mind that you were saying, Sydney, of like things kind of building up, and again, my brain, and I think also the way I do therapy, like functions a lot in metaphors and functions a lot in these ideas. And it makes me think about even just the idea and the concept of burnout and the concept of like a fire, that like we have small little fires on candles all the time and they're super safe and they're super fine. But the problem is the building up. It's the problem of this fire that normally is something controlled grows bigger and bigger and bigger. And I think the thing with burnout as well as the recovery from it is it's not like you were kind of saying earlier with the timeline, like there isn't a distinct moment because it's the buildup of things one way or another. It's the buildup to burnout and the recovery from it is often a buildup as well. And I think that's really hard because likely a lot of times when we're struggling with burnout, we don't realize right away. And I think especially for folks like us that are late diagnosed, like the reason we find out that we're autistic a lot of times is we've gone through that burnout. Something was wrong. We didn't know what it was. And we found out about our diagnosis. And I think trying to navigate that is all these little moments that are building on top of each other to kind of come to a new place.
Yeah, the house is already burned down.
Right.
By the time you figure it out. So in the occupational therapy world, especially with autism, there's a lot of talk about like sensory diets. So in the term of like feeding your sensory system, I like to think of it in a similar metaphor of like you need sensory extinguishers and you need fire prevention, right? Like you need a fire extinguisher when shit is hitting the fan. And then you need your prevention plan. And that's the sensory diet is like, how can I now accommodate my lifestyle and like change my lifestyle so that I don't reach the point where the house is completely engulfed in flames? But when the house is already engulfed in flames, that diet is not going to help you. It's not going to be accessible.
Right. And I think that's why when you're first surviving from burnout is the first parts of it is just sitting in the rubble, is just being like, oh no, this whole thing is blown up and I can't afford to just have a new home in this moment. I can't afford to create a whole new system right away. It's slowly collecting the pieces. It's slowly reviewing, okay, what led to burnout? What accommodations can I make? And it's really, really difficult to identify all those. And then especially with like the factors of late diagnosis, especially with the factors of autistic people tend to have trouble with bodily functions and trouble with identifying our emotions, like you're figuring out a lot of things that are really challenging to do.
Thanks for talking about burnout and accommodations with me, guys. I never feel done. Like And I never feel like we've done enough, but I feel like we opened the door, I guess, and we're just figuring it out. I'm trying to think if I was listening to this, how I would feel, like in the midst of burnout. And I just want to say, like, right now, it's really easy for me to talk about what accommodations I've made for myself. And it's really easy for me to tell you, like, how I felt when I was burnt out, because I'm not actively in it. If you are in active burnout or really feeling it right now, whatever you define it as, we know this isn't easy. We know making those little accommodations don't feel little at the time, but eventually they do. And if they don't, like, you can change. I just don't want it to feel like, sometimes it feels like, oh yeah, here, do all these things, and it's so easy. But Amanda's right, like, do nothing. Just allow yourself to sit in the rubble and be, because that is all you have to do. And you'll figure it out as you go along. I wanted to just bring up real quick there's the Jan accommodations. I think I had sent it to Sydney. It's a website that you can go on, and it's for employers and employees, and look at what accommodations for like workplace that you are entitled to. It's divided by like diagnoses. Wow. So if you are like really, I feel like I'm autistic, I don't know where to start, like that might be a good place for you to just look and give ideas for yourself. Like, how can I accommodate myself? Just wanted to throw that in there.
Do the thing, do the transition.
Okay, welcome to our Sunflower Spotlight. Today, we are going to have 2 sunflowers because I didn't know how to talk about them or this topic without both of them. If you want to learn more about burnout, I would definitely recommend looking at Dr. Megan Anna Neff. She is an ADHD clinical psychologist, author, and educator. They run Neurodivergent Insights, which has an online community for neurodivergent folks, and they have so many resources, really great infographics, and like dive deep into autistic burnout, amongst other things. But for this topic, like autistic burnout, ADHD burnout, there's like a worksheet on how to reevaluate. She also wrote a book called Self-Care for Autistic People, and they turn them into like almost looking like tarot cards. So you could like pull one and be like, okay, this is the self-care that I'm going to try for today. And they're specifically designed to be accessible for people like us. They have a workbook on autistic burnout for you to like go through. I haven't done either of those yet, but I love their work. They have a few different podcasts. I listen to Divergent Conversations, which Patrick Sal, who was a previous Sunflower Spotlight host with them. They interviewed Amelia Nagoski, who also wrote a book called Burnout, The Secret to Unlocking the Stress Cycle, with their sister. Amelia is a doctorate of musical arts, and they were hospitalized twice due to stress and found out that they were autistic after they wrote this book, which I find really interesting. And actually writing the book, they were saying it wasn't entitled Burnout, like the publisher titled it Burnout. They were just talking about stress and the stress cycle. And I think that for me, I like to understand like the whys behind things. And they go into a really great, like a little bit of science on why, but then storytelling and like how other people have processed their stress and stuff. So I really think they're both great resources. I will probably mention Dr. Megan Anna Neff on most podcasts that we have because they're my guru of this stuff. Yeah, and that is our Sunflower Spotlight for today.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. We're really trying to build community here, and if you really relate to us, feel free to share some thoughts or comments that you have, any questions you have for our podcast. You can feel free to follow us in all the places, and hopefully you'll join us next week.
Just want to leave you with a quote from Albert Einstein. We cannot solve our problems with the same thinking that we used when we created them. I thought that really encompassed burnout. Like, we keep going, we're going to get burnt out. So that's a wrap.
Okay, love you.
Okay, I love you. Bye. Okay, love you. Bye.